case of missing 3-year-old Florida toddler Caylee Anthony. CNN affiliate WKMG reports that top mom Casey Anthony may soon be facing homicide charges relating to the disappearance of her daughter. The station's reporting that the state attorney's office plans to present its case to a grand jury next week, who will then determine if the state has enough evidence to charge Anthony with manslaughter or murder. According to WKMG, the state hopes to charge Anthony even without Caylee's body being found.
Regardless of how it happened, like I said, I don't care. I will lie, I will steal, I will do whatever I can to find my daughter.
Her 3-year-old daughter, Kaylee's missing. So what's she doing? She's out buying lingerie. Check out the video here. It's Casey checking out at Target, buying the food, beer, the lingerie, of course. Prosecutors say she paid for that and other stuff by cashing hundreds of dollars worth of checks from her friend's bank account. And today they released this video along with other documents in their check fraud case against Casey.
Check number 146 from her ex-best friend's checkbook. Investigators say this is one of the checks she used to clean out Amy Hazinga's checking account.
The grandmother came in and she goes, "I hope you're rich, because Casey's going to take all your money and leave you high and dry."
We're here because we got her out. To do what?
Because I lied.
I want you to tell me how lying to us is going to help us find your daughter.
It's not going to.
Huh?
It's not going.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us tonight. The desperate search for a beautiful little 3-year-old Florida girl, Caylee.
Stunning developments in the case of missing toddler Caylee Anthony. Sources tell CNN affiliate WKMG that Caylee's mother, 22-year-old Casey Anthony, could be facing homicide charges in the coming days. The Orlando station reports the grand jury is expected to meet next week, and that is where prosecutors will present their case, asking the grand jury to conclude they have enough evidence to take Anthony to trial on manslaughter or murder charges.
Today they released this video along with other documents in their check fraud case against Casey.
We see that she purchased that hoodie that she was wearing when she was arrested. We also see she purchased those white sunglasses that she's become known for wearing now.
Records show Amy Hazinga told detectives Casey stole her checkbook and emptied her account, writing more than $700 in forged checks to Target, Winn-Dixie, and even to herself.
When I kept saying, well, I don't get it. What's in it for you? Why are you letting, the police get involved with this? This doesn't make any sense to me. She's like, well, maybe this should have been done a long time ago. Stolen money from mom. I've been a bad daughter. She said, I've stolen money from you. I've been untrustworthy, and she goes, and maybe I have been a bad mother, a daughter, and sister. And she said, so this should have been done a long time ago.
Did you lie to us purposely, or did you purposely mislead us? Which of those two is it?
I purposely misled.
Okay, so you purposely misled us. This was all in an attempt to help find your daughter, right? That makes sense to you, correct?
Again, in a backwards sort of way, yes.
Straight out to Jessica D'Onofrio with CNN affiliate WKMG, who broke the story that prosecutors plan to seek homicide charges in the coming days against top mom Casey Anthony. Jessica, what do you know?
Well, Nancy, they are going to bring this in front of a grand jury on Tuesday. I'm still trying to find out whether they are planning to bring a manslaughter charge or whether they want to present a murder charge in front of this grand jury. But I can tell you that people have already been asked to clear their schedules for Tuesday because they are going to be subpoenaed to appear in front of that grand jury and testify in front of them. You're going to see friends, you're going to see family, you're going to see detectives, you're going to see lab techs subpoenaed to go and testify in front of this grand jury. And of course, Casey could be subpoenaed as well, but she does not have to talk to them. Now, as we have been mentioning, you can bring this case and prosecute without a body. And, if they can't convince this grand jury to go and send this to trial, well, we know that they can still try and try again after that, because murder has no statute of limitations here. And you've got to remember, too, that the prosecution, as we have been reporting for weeks now, they have hair samples, air samples, cadaver dogs alerting to a decomposing body in the trunk of Casey Anthony's car, and you also have that chloroform found at high levels in the trunk. So You also have to remember, too, we might not know everything that the prosecution has at this point. They could have a much stronger case than we know.
Joining us from Orlando, Florida, she's the WKMG that breaks the story. Murder charge, homicide charges set to come down in the coming days. We are taking your calls live. We'll be right back with Jessica. Let's unleash the lawyers. Renee Rockwell out of Atlanta and fellow defense attorney John Burris out of San Francisco. John Burris, why would you give the grand jury anything less than a murder case? Because it will be up to a petit jury, which is a jury of 12. A grand jury is a jury between 18 and 43 people that simply bring the charges and then let the jury of 12 decide whether it will be voluntary, involuntary, murder, murder one, or not guilty.
Actually, I agree with you on this because I think given that they do not have the evidence that they have, if they're going to use it for any kind of homicide, can be used either for murder or manslaughter because actually they have no information as to whether it's murder or manslaughter. So I think that what they're really doing here is throwing the kitchen sink out here and see if something will stick. But once you do that, it could be murder or manslaughter because you don't have the mens rea, the mental state, to tell you what actually happened during the course of this homicide, assuming that there is a homicide.
Whoa. Hold your horses, John, because one thing, and it's very critical as to the date of this element, the search on Casey Anthony's computer regarding chloroform. That, to me, would suggest premeditation, since chloroform in large amounts was found in her car trunk, along with evidence of a dead body. That in itself could prove premeditation for murder one.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't disagree that there's evidence out here that would cause that, but I don't know that you take these things a piece by themselves, to take the chloroform and put that out there. I don't know that that proves anything other than this chloroform.
Well,
you don't have any way to tie it into a particular body. You don't tie it into
We're not at the jury rail yet, Burris. We're still going to the grand jury. Right now, all we're getting is a charging document. Yes, no, Renee Rockwell?
Well, let me just put it this way, Nancy. I think they're going to present what they have, and we don't know what they have. But, Nancy, if they throw it all up now and the jury says, no, you don't have enough, they're not out of the ball game. They can come back 3 months from now. So it'll be interesting to see what does shake out from this grand jury.
And Renee's referring to the ability for the state to go to a grand jury, a secret grand jury, repeatedly in order to get charges handed down. Not so before a petit jury, a jury of 12. Once you take the case to a jury at trial, that's it. You cannot retry the case if there is an acquittal. Back to Jessica D'Onofrio. You say this may be presented to a grand jury for homicide charges against top mom Casey Anthony as early as Tuesday?
That's right, Nancy. That's what they'd like to do. This grand jury has been sitting for a few months now, so I believe they're going to get this in. This will be the last case that the grand jury hears on Tuesday before it dissolves, and then they'll be seating a brand new grand jury for the next couple months ahead. So I believe that Lawson Lamar, our state attorney, is going to get this case in front of this grand jury before they're dissolved and before another one has to be seated.
Right now, you are seeing footage we have just obtained of Mom Casey Anthony's shopping spree throughout the days following her little girl's disappearance. And out to you, Mike Brooks, former Fed with the FBI. You know, if I were conducting a search for somebody that I loved that had gone missing, you got to have a couple of these along with you. You know, she goes out and buys sexy lingerie, cases of beer, sportswear, sunglasses. In fact, she even buys that hoodie that we see her going in and out of her lawyer's office wearing on somebody else's checks. These are all stolen items.
Unbelievable, Nancy. In fact, maybe she had on the new camisole underneath her hoodie when she got locked up on July 16th. But if you look at July 15th, the day that her whole world came crumbling down, in Amy Huizenga, her best friend's checking account, there was $49.99. But her statement on June 20th, there was $2,125.47. That's what I call a really best friend.
And I want to go back to the lawyers, Renee Rockwell, John Burroughs. There's the hoodie right there on the left that she basically stole, according to the state, with stolen checks. Her friend dropped her friend off at the airport. Isn't this right? Mark Williams drops the friend, Amy Hazinga, off at the airport. Mark with us, WNDB News Radio. And within a couple of hours, has cleaned out her car of all the checks that were in the glove compartment. She's out at Target.
Oh, yeah, she discovered those checks, and she went on that shopping spree, eventually using about $1,300 worth of Amy's money, anything from the hoodies to the bras to you name it, but nothing for Caylee.
Mark, I don't care about the bra and the items. What I care about is what does this mean about her state of mind regarding her missing little girl. Take a look. You decide. Look at her on her shopping spree.